Imagine this. A man born a slave, without an army, without armor, without a single reason to hope. Yet he dared to challenge Rome, the most powerful empire the world had ever seen. And for a moment in time, he won. This is not a legend. This is the true story of Spartacus. The gladiator who refused to die for entertainment. And instead, made the empire tremble. He was born in Thrace, somewhere near modern Bulgaria or Greece. A place of warriors and cold winds. The name Spartacus wasn't even his real one. It was a label, given to him because of where he came from. To Rome, he was just another barbarian, another piece of property. But to those who met him, he was something else entirely. Intelligent, disciplined, and impossible to break. Some say he once fought for Rome, as a soldier. Others say he was betrayed, captured, and sold. But one thing's certain, when they chained him, they created their own destruction. In the brutal gladiator school of Capua, Spartacus trained to kill, not for glory, but survival. Every day was blood and sand. Every match, a sentence. And yet, in the darkness of that pit, he began to dream. He watched, listened, and waited. While others just fought to live another day, Spartacus planned to escape. Sound of fire crackling, whispers in the dark. One night, in 73 BC, the impossible happened. Armed with kitchen knives and stolen courage, 70 gladiators broke free. They killed the guards, looted weapons, and vanished into the Italian hills. That night, Rome's nightmare began. War drums begin. What started as a desperate escape turned into an uprising. Slaves fled from farms, peasants joined with pitchforks. And soon, an army was born. An army led by a man with nothing to lose. They took refuge on Mount Vesuvius. Yes, the same volcano that would one day bury Pompeii. Rome sent troops to surround them. But Spartacus, thinking like a soldier, used vines to climb down the cliffs behind enemy lines. In the dead of night, they struck. The Romans never saw it coming. They were slaughtered to the last man. Swords clashing, distant shouts fade. From 70 gladiators, Spartacus now commanded thousands. He trained them, organized them, and forged the most dangerous army of slaves in history. They didn't fight for gold. They fought for freedom. And that made them unstoppable. Narrator's tone deepens. But not everyone agreed on what freedom meant. His brother-in-arms, Crixus, wanted revenge. He wanted Rome to burn. Spartacus, however, dreamed of escape. To cross the Alps, to go home. The two men parted ways. Crixus and 30,000 followers were soon surrounded and killed. When Spartacus heard the news, he made the Romans fight each other as gladiators. A grim tribute to his fallen brother. Slow heartbeat sound. But Rome was learning. They sent Crassus, the richest man in the Republic. A man who believed money could buy victory. He built walls, literal walls, across southern Italy. To trap Spartacus and starve him out. Hunger spread through the rebel camps. Betrayed by pirates, cut off from escape. Spartacus knew the end was near. Rain, distant thunder. He gathered his men. And in a final act of defiance, he killed his own horse. He told his soldiers, "If I win, I'll have all the horses I need. If I lose, I won't need one." Fast-tempo battle drums. Then came the final battle. On the plains near the Salaris River, tens of thousands of rebels faced the Roman legions. Spartacus fought like a storm, cutting down centurions, trying to reach Crassus himself. But the tide turned. He fell, still swinging his sword, fighting on his knees until the end. His body was never found, but his name became immortal. Music fades into silence. The Romans crucified 6,000 survivors along the Appian Way. Miles of broken bodies hanging under the sun. A warning to the world. But even then, the message was clear. You can kill the man, but not the idea of freedom. If stories like this move you, leave a like and subscribe for more epic journeys through ancient history. Because legends like Spartacus deserve to be remembered. Before the final battle, the nights were cold. Among the rebels, hope was fading, but Spartacus still walked among his men. He listened to their stories, their fears, their dreams. Some were fathers who had left children behind. Others were mothers disguised as men, fighting for a chance to live free. Every night, he would say to them, "We may not live to see freedom. But if we die, the world will remember that we tried." Soft background strings begin, slow emotional build. It wasn't just a war anymore. It was a movement of ordinary people refusing to die on their knees. In the quiet of the camps, songs were sung in different tongues: Greek, Thracian, Celtic, Latin. Voices of slaves who had once been enemies, now united under one man's vision. But Rome never forgave rebellion. Footsteps on marble, Senate murmurs. Inside the Senate, fear spread like wildfire. Senators whispered of a slave king, an empire humiliated by its own property. They debated who would end the shame: Pompey, the hero of Spain, or Crassus, the richest man in Rome. Crassus had already spent fortunes on his campaign. He paid for the army with his own gold, building a wall across southern Italy, a symbol of Rome's cold efficiency. But he wanted more than victory. He wanted vengeance. Drums began to rise. And so, the trap closed. Spartacus's men were hungry, exhausted, but not broken. He gathered his captains one last time. Maps spread on the ground, lit by torchlight. "Rome wants us dead," he said. "So let us make them pay for every step they take." Music shifts to tense rhythm, battlefield preparations. They broke through Crassus's defenses in the dark. But freedom was a fleeting dream. When dawn came, they faced an ocean of Roman shields. Legions in formation, banners of crimson. The thunder of boots shaking the earth. Spartacus stood at the front, his sword raised to the sky. He shouted one last time, "For freedom!" And then, chaos. SFX, thunderous battle, swords clashing, shouting fades. The fighting was merciless. Men who had been slaves fought like lions. Even Roman centurions hesitated, unnerved by the ferocity of men who had nothing left to lose. Spartacus himself cut through the ranks. His armor shattered, blood on his face. eyes burning like fire. He fought to reach Crassus, to end it with his own hands. He came within sight of him. But fate had other plans. A spear struck his leg. He fell, rose again. Cut down 2 soldiers. Then another. Until the sea of iron swallowed him whole. Music drops, silence, wind blowing. When the battle ended, there was no Spartacus to be found. No body, no grave. Only the legend remained. Soft strings return. Crassus ordered the crucifixion of 6,000 prisoners along the Appian Way. From Capua to Rome, nearly 120 miles. Every mile, a body hanging under the sun. A warning carved in flesh. But even that horror couldn't erase what Spartacus had done. The Senate may have silenced his voice, but his defiance had already echoed through history. Sound, turning pages, echoing narration. Years later, Roman historians tried to diminish him, calling him a thief, a deserter, a barbarian. But the truth was stronger than their ink. Generations of slaves whispered his name in secret. Soldiers spoke of him with respect. And even the emperors feared his ghost. Faint choir voices in background. Centuries passed. Rome fell. But the idea that Spartacus died for, the idea that no man should be owned by another, survived. Music rises, cinematic crescendo. From the revolts of medieval peasants, to the rebellions in the New World, to every man or woman who's ever stood up and said no to tyranny, the spirit of Spartacus lived on. He became a symbol, not of defeat, but of defiance. Soft close, fire crackling fades. And maybe that's the true power of his story. That even when a man is crushed, his courage can light a flame that no empire can ever extinguish. If this story moved you, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Because as long as we tell these stories, heroes like Spartacus never die.